Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads. So our next Molly story is Happy Birthday Molly. Chapter 1. Guess what? Molly McIntyre was skipping rope at the end of her driveway on a blustery afternoon in early spring. She was only waiting for her friends, Linda and Susan. Molly had a very piece of news to tell them. Oh, wait until they heard. Molly skipped a little faster so it would come to them sooner. The wind sent high white clouds across the sky. It pushed hard against Molly too, but she wouldn't budge from her lookout post. Where were Linda and Susan? Molly stopped skipping. She opened her eyes and peered down the street. They were supposed to be coming right after lunch. Molly felt as she'd been waiting forever. At last, Molly saw her friends. Linda was walking quickly. She bent into the wind. Her hands were shoved deep into her pockets. She stopped from time to time to wait for Susan, who was much slower. Susan had one foot on the curb and one foot in the gutter, where she was carefully cracking the thin ice over winter's last puddles. Hurry up, Molly called. Linda poked Susan, and they both ran to Molly. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Shouted Molly as they came near. What? Linda and Susan puffed together. An English girl's coming to stay with us, said Molly happily. Ooh, breathed Susan. What do you mean? Asked Linda. A girl, said Molly, from London. Her parents want her to come to America where it's safe. She's supposed to stay with her aunt here in Jefferson until the war's over, but her aunt has pneumonia or something and can't take her. So my mom said she could stay with us. Until the war's over? Asked Linda. No, until her aunt gets better, said Molly. But Mom said she'd be with us for a couple weeks at least. That means she'll be here for my birthday. Oh, Molly, sighed Susan. You're so lucky. A real English girl for your birthday. I don't get it, said Linda. Why is she coming now? England's been at war for a long time. Well, Molly thought out loud, maybe her house was just bombed by the Nazis. And she's probably raggedy and starving like the Children in Life magazines, added Susan. Linda shook her head. Not everybody in England is ragging and starving, Susan, she said. For all you know, she's as rich as a princess. A princess, said Susan joyfully. I bet she even looks like one of the English princesses, Margaret Rose or Elizabeth, said Molly. I bet she has dark curly hair and blue eyes. She's going to share my room and come to school with me. She's exactly our age. Does she know your dad in England? Asked Linda. I don't think so, answered Molly. When did she come? Asked Susan. Today! Today, shrieked Susan and Linda. What time? Mom said before dinner, Molly answered. Well, I'm not going to stand out here all day and wait for her, said Linda. She was holding her coat collar up around her ears. I'm cold. Let's go inside. Maybe when we have the English girl in here, Mrs. Guilford will let us have little tea sandwiches every afternoon like they do in England, said Susan dreamily. Maybe, said Molly. It's going to be so much fun. Will you two come in? Said Linda. She led the way to the house. The three girls raced inside through the warm, bright kitchen and down the stairs to the basement. Their new hideaway was in the corner next to Dad's workbench. They set up a card table there and draped an old blanket over it. It was their pretend bomb shelter. A few hours ago, when they went to the movies, they saw a newsreel that showed the different kinds of bomb shelters people used in England. One bomb shelter was a steel table with sides that rolled down. The sides were made of metal links. The table was set up in a living room. The newsreel showed a family rushing to get on the table, the sound of a warning siren. It seemed almost like a game, the same as musical chairs. The girls had been very impressed. Imagine having a bomb shelter right in your own living room. It was horrifying and exciting at the same time. They had gone straight to Molly's house after the movies and made a pretend bomb shelter of their own. They liked to sit under the blanket-covered table and play the house was collapsing around them. It was pleasantly scary. It smells like mothballs in here, complained Linda. She crawled on the table. Do we have to go to this old blanket over the table all the time? Yes, said Molly. Don't you remember the newsreel when the bombs came? The people got under the table and rolled the sides down so they wouldn't get hurt. But those sides were like a fence, said Linda. They had holes so you could breathe. Well, a blanket is the best we could do, said Molly. Let's play. Maybe the English girl is a bomb shelter just like her house in England, said Susan as she twisted the top off Molly Girl's canteen. They held the canteen full of water in case they decided in their shelter for a long time. They wanted to keep her crackers there, but Mrs. Gilford thought cracker crumbs would bring ants. Do you think English people ever stay in a bomb shelter overnight? Asked Linda. It's so crowded in there. I think sometimes they do, said Molly. She tried to straighten her legs, but there wasn't enough room under the table. They have to stay in as long as the bombing goes on. Because if they come out too soon, or something might fall on them, like bricks or building, or wham! Something heavy landed right above their heads. The table wobbled. Bam! The table was struck again. Bombs away, they heard. The girls looked at each other and giggled. Ricky! Molly lifted the blanket and stuck her head out. Ricky was bouncing his basketball top on the table. Don't do that, Molly said. She didn't mind very much, though, because the thud of the basketball made it easy to pretend there were real bombs outside. Some bomb shelter, said Ricky. This thing wouldn't last 2 seconds if a real bomb fell. Don't you girls know anything? Real bomb shelters are outside, dug in the grounds like caves. He bounced the ball on the table again. This is what they have in England, protested Molly. Like fish it is, scoffed Ricky. It is too, said Susan from inside. We saw it in the movies. Where? In the cartoon? Asked Ricky. You wait, Ricky, said Molly. Wait till the English girl comes. She'll tell you about the bomb shelters. Ricky groaned. Just what I need, he said. Another dippy girl around. But Molly knows he didn't say anything more about their bomb shelter. Ricky had just left when Molly's mother called upstairs. Girls, come up here, please. She's here, squealed Molly, the English girl. The three girls tumbled over each other, struggling to be the first one out of their bomb shelter. They pounded up the stairs and into the kitchen. They stopped so suddenly that Susan stumbled into her back. There, standing by the kitchen table, was the English girl. Mrs. McIntyre was standing behind her with her hands on her girl's shoulders. Emily? She said, I'd like you to meet Molly. Molly, this is Emily Bennett. Very gently, she pushed Emily toward Molly. Emily kept her eyes on the floor. Molly held out her hand and smiled at Emily. Hi, she said. Emily glanced up at Molly, then looked down again. She touched Molly's hand with icy fingertips, whispered, How do you do, and stepped backwards toward Mrs. McIntyre. Miss Susan pushed back Molly. How do you do? She said. She pulled the sides of her pants legs as if the wide skirt of a ball gown and bobbed down her curtsy. I'm Susan, she said as she always rose awkwardly. I thought English girls always curtsied. Ricky snorted, and Molly and Linda giggled at Susan. Emily didn't look up, but Molly saw that her ears turned pink with embarrassment. She thinks we're laughing at her, Molly thought. Molly moved toward Emily. This is Linda, she said, and here's Ricky, my brother. I have another brother named Brad and a sister named Jill. You'll meet them later. Everyone was quiet, staring at Emily. Then Mrs. McIntyre said, We're very glad you're here, Emily. You'll get used to names and faces soon. She patted her shoulders. Ricky, would you carry the suitcase upstairs, please? Molly, why don't you show Emily your room? She smiled and said, It's going to be your room too, Emily, for as long as you stay with us. A very quiet parade climbed up the stairs. Ricky was in lead with Emily following. Molly, Linda, and Susan lagged behind. Linda whispered to Susan, She's awfully little. She sure doesn't look like a princess. But Susan's eyes were glowing. Of course she's little. Didn't I tell you she'd be starving? Emily was the skinniest girl Molly had ever seen. Her knee socks were twisted and saggy around her legs, which were as thin as spaghetti noodles. Even her hair was skinny. It was gingery red and absolutely straight, cut short. Her eyes were pale blue. Her skin was pale, too, as if she had not been outside in the sunshine for a very long while. Emily put Emily's suitcase on one of the beds and left. Linda and Susan flopped onto the other bed. Here we are, said Molly. What, want me to help you unpack? Emily shook her head. No, she stood by the door. Here, said Emily, I'll make some room for the stuff in your chest. She scooped up the messy armful of socks from one drawer and showed them another. You can have this whole drawer, she said. Emily opened her suitcase. Carefully, she lined 3 pairs of socks, some underwear, and 2 pairs of pajamas in the drawer. Is that all you have? Asked Susan. Did all of your clothes get lost or burned up or something? Emily didn't answer. She was hanging 2 skirts and a white blouse in Molly's closet. She put the blouse on the hanger and buttoned up all the buttons. She folded the collar and moved the shoulders so that they were exactly straight on the bony skeleton of the hanger. Well, we have lots of clothes and that you can use, so don't worry, Susan added. Emily put her suitcase under the bed and smoothed the bedspread. You sure do like things neat, said Molly. She couldn't think of anything else to say. Emily seemed to have a wall around her that made her difficult to talk to. And Molly thought something else would be familiar, something she could certainly talk about. Come on, Emily, she said. We have something to show you down in the basement. Oh, yeah, said Susan. You'll like this. Molly led the girls downstairs. Emily walked stiffly as if she were cold. When they got to the basement, she moved even more slowly. Molly pointed to the bomb shelter. See, she said, it's a bomb shelter like you have in England. We play in it all the time. She lifted the edge of the blanket and showed Emily the dark space on the table. Want to go in? She asked. Come on, it's fun. But Emily backed away from the bomb shelter. No, she said. No, thank you. I'd rather not. Then she turned and walked up quietly at the stairs. Molly, Susan, and Linda watched her go. At least she finally said something, said Linda. Molly sighed. You better go up and try to talk to her, said Susan. You're supposed to be making friends with her, right? Right, said Molly. She climbed up slowly the stairs to the kitchen. Mrs. McIntyre was sleeping on the kitchen floor. Are you looking for Emily? She said. She says she's going upstairs to write a letter to her parents. Molly wasn't sure what to do. Do you think I should go up there? She asked her mother. Mrs. McIntyre bent over to sweep under the kitchen table. No, she said. Why don't you leave Emily in peace for a while? She's probably feeling overwhelmed. She's had a rather big day. She's awful quiet, isn't she? Said Molly. She never says anything. Mrs. McIntyre straightened and chuckled. Not everybody's a chatterbox like you, Ollie Molly. English children are taught to be reserved, to be very polite and quiet. Emily probably feels shy. And think about how you'd feel on your first day with a brand new family. It seems as if she doesn't like us. Molly, she won't smile or anything. She won't play in our bomb shelter either. Mrs. McIntyre stopped sweeping and thought for a moment. Give Emily a chance, Molly. Remember, bomb shelters haven't been places for her to play in. In fact, the whole world must seem cold and dangerous to Emily for a long time. The war has been going on in England since she was 5, practically her whole life. I think Emily is a little like a crocus who's not sure it's sprung yet. It will take some time for her to realize it. It's safe to come out now, she grinned at Molly. I imagine quite soon I'll have 2 chatterboxes on my hands. But meanwhile, you be as warm and friendly and welcoming as you can be to Emily, okay? Okay, Mom, said Molly. That's my girl, said Mom. Molly made it sound easy to be friends with Emily. Molly wasn't so sure it would be. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.